the 2 platinum records and 3 gold records you have. I'm sure Wild Cherries and one of those.
They are those. Yeah, they're those basically all revolve around the Wild Cherry band. You know, so they're platinum and gold records. I think we have a Canadian one in there somewhere. And yeah, so that was a very exciting year for us. '76 was when we got a lot of those awards, and over the years they they keep selling, especially Play That Funky Music is used in a lot of movies now, and it always pops up on various commercials. So it's a fun song.
And do you guys get residuals from all that too?
We do get some, yes. You know, the singers and Bob, who is the songwriter and owns the publishing to the song, gets the lion's share of the royalties. But we all can, get our.
It seems like it's always the writer is what I'm learning. They're the ones that
the writer and the publisher can control the song after its initial run on the radio, where everybody makes essentially the same kind of money. But the longevity of the song, the lion's share of that money goes to the original writer, as it should.
Right. Okay.
The creator of the song.
And you have also engineered 5 records that have reached #1 on the Living Blues radio charts.
Right. That was during my 15 years at King Snake Records as an engineer-producer, which is sort of, after I moved from Pittsburgh, my career is sort of in 3 parts: the Pittsburgh Wild Cherry era, the middle period where I moved to Florida, but I was playing locally, but I was mostly engineering and producing records for a record company, and the Living Blues Charts is a magazine not unlike Billboard, but it's specifically for the blues genre. And we had several artists, that we produced and that I engineered that got the #1 on those charts over the course of several years. And we had several Handy Award nominations too for our artists that we produced. So that was a very fulfilling career. It wasn't, nobody in the blues record business makes tons of money, but everybody is very satisfied musically, and the records are very much help support the artist tour, and so they have the product to play on the, every college radio station has a jazz and blues station. That's primarily where the airplay comes for blues and jazz artists. Now that they're satellite radio, they have great blues stations on Sirius and XM. But during that era, when I was working for the label, we worked with the Living Blues magazine, the Handy Foundation, and all the others, 5 or 6 other blues publications that kept that whole genre alive. And it's really great. It's a real true American music, just like jazz is. It's an American art form, and I was really happy to be part of it, coming from a national big hit like Wild Cherry, which was very pop radio and big record label, to go into what was then the burgeoning independent market. Independent records now are more the rule than the exception, but at that time, being an independent label was a risky business and an exception to the big labels that ran most of the record companies. So it was very nice to, sign an artist, record the record, have the project come out, do press on it, get the artist on tour, and do that several times a year instead of waiting, sometimes a year or 2 to have a major label respond to you with, what you were working on or producing. So this is a way to be artistically creative and actually have a product flow. And so for me, it was very fulfilling and I played on a lot of the records too. I played guitar, backup guitar, or contributed solos. So as a player and engineer, producer, it was very fulfilling to have those projects hit the street and be able to do it consistently as an independent record label.
Are you working with anyone locally here in New Smyrna?
I just completed a mix for producer Billy Chapin, who's a guitarist for Backstreet Boys, but he's a local Central Florida guy. Great producer. He's also on the board of governors for Florida. He was last year. In fact, he's the one that recommended me to the board, as you have a 2-year term. He was leaving office and recommended me as a replacement governor, but he's still very involved in the craft committees for choosing the producer of the year, and he's a great record producer himself. He produced a band called Ministry Theory, which is a Christian-oriented rock and jazz funk, really superb musicians. So I mixed that album. That's local. I've done several albums with the local band called the Bandies, which is an old bandmate of mine named Steve Dees, who played with Hall & Oates.
Oh yeah!
And him and his wife have a band called the Bandies, and they do superb records. And in fact, I'm getting ready to work on one of his productions for a local pianist named Victor Wainwright, a great boogie-woogie pianist, and they have a band, they do like a roots rock thing, so I'm getting ready to mix that. So I do a lot of mixing of other people's music. I love to do that.
How do you feel about today's music?
I love it. My daughters keep me abreast of all the new sounds and the new bands. Mm-hmm. It's a little hard to sort them out, but certain ones rise to the top for me, and I like to keep just to see what people are doing from a technical standpoint, sound-wise, production-wise, recording techniques, and because that changes, that sort of ebb and flows. It's almost now back to a 70, like the way it was in the 70s, and there's different recording techniques and drum sounds that go through different phases of from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s. The way records are recorded and the way they sound change. But yeah, I like a lot of new music. My new favorite is Modest Mouse. I'm a huge Modest Mouse fan. You might know who they are.
I don't know who they are. Although I do know Madonna. And I am hoping that disco comes back again. But what do you think? I doubt it. I think that was
you never know. I mean, dance music never goes out of vogue. Everybody loves to dance. So there's always going to be a band doing something with a dance beat, whether it's disco per se, but techno music is not too far removed from disco music. It has the same, cymbal movement and the same, very strict time dance beats. So that's a direct offshoot of the disco dance craze. But everybody loves to dance,
I would love it if disco came back, but I think I'm probably the only one. So what were the highlights that you had while you were touring with Foghat?
Oh, well, it's just touring with Foghat is great for me. I mean, it's a musical style. That's my favorite style. Blues rock is my natural playing style. It's all the guitarists I learned from were of that style. So and I have a lot of room to improvise within the structure of the band. And so I have as much to do as I can in Foghat. And I just love the fact that I get out there with a bunch of guys that are my friends. It's not just a job, it's a family, and everybody enjoys playing with each other, and it's just it's a quartet, so I get to play as much guitar as I can think up, so I get out there and play, and we have a great time. I just love the tour. A lot of people complain about traveling, but I actually like it, outside of the running through the airports these days is not that much fun, but I got my clear card, so I'm good to go.
That's good.
Orlando no longer daunts me.
Well, I know that you toured Foghat. You went to Germany with Foghat, right?
I did, yes, and with Lonesome Dave, and that's how while we did tour over there with Molly Hatchet, I became friends with those guys, and we ate dinner together, traveled on a caravan of tour buses, and did 20 some shows, and that was great because I got to be good friends with them. I wouldn't have met them otherwise, I don't think. So when Dave rejoined with all the original members for Foghat, I had somebody to call for my next gig, and that was a lot of fun. Different kind of playing style. Molly Hatchet, it's very orchestrated harmony guitars, and it's very disciplined style of playing, even though it's it's still kick butt southern rock and roll. But I mean, the guitar playing within the sound is very structured, and it was a real challenge to learn the parts and to perform those every night. Foghat's more improvisational, and it's more solo guitar, so it's a different style, but both were equally fun to play.
So, sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Nein, ein Bier bitte.
So out of all the, I guess, legends in rock and roll and in the music industry that you've met, I know you mentioned Stevie Wonder, but who else really kind of awed you, would you say?
Well, Michael Jackson, funny enough, was even though he was younger than me, he was awe-inspiring. Just in the fact that at that time, particularly, his talent was unbelievable. The way he sang, danced, entertained. He was one of the strongest stage entertainers I ever saw, and to this day, at that period of his life. And
he was at what age about that?
I think he was probably still a teenager because it was before he went solo. Santana. We did some early shows with Carlos Santana, a fabulous guitarist. I've never really played with my true hero, which is Jeff Beck. I've only seen him play live like twice in my life, which is strange, him being my favorite guitarist. But I know if I'd met him, I wouldn't really know what to say other than, hi Jeff, and stumble around, but he's truly my favorite guitarist. But I saw the Allman Brothers live. That was an awe-inspiring performance with all the original members, Dwayne playing brilliantly, and it was actually, they played, I saw them at the Pittsburgh Masonic Temple, which was a beautiful theater in Pittsburgh. There was, I think, 3 or 4 days before they recorded the Live at the Fillmore album, so it was the same exact concert that's recorded, for posterity and on the Live at Fillmore, one of the greatest live albums of all time. And it was that same exact show, almost performed note for note, and so to me that was awe-inspiring. I never met them, but I mean, just to be at that show has inspired me to continue doing what I do now.
Right. Now, speaking of the Masonic Home, you are part of the Masons. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm a Mason. I joined it through a friend of mine introduced me to the organization. And it's just a great men's organization, very concerned with charitable organizations. Of course, the Shriner hospitals are probably the most visible front of their charitable works. You know, the Shriner hospitals do so many fabulous things for kids at no cost to the parents or patients. They have a burn unit. They do orthopedic things for the children. That's just a wonderful organization. As part of a musician, being a musician, we take part in a lot of fundraisers, whether they be cancer benefits or different like relief benefits for flooding and that. But trying to do something personally at any kind of significant level as a charity is difficult to do by yourself. So the Masonic organization is, first of all, it's a bunch of great people really working hard to be better people and working hard in their community. But it also gives you a nice base of operations if you want to get involved in charitable work, because they do so much and they're so well organized at it. So.
I know, it's amazing what the Masons do. Now, if anyone's watching this and they want to donate, how can they go about that? Just the Masonic Home?
Well, I just keep almost every holiday season there will be in your local city fest or Christmas parades there'll be the mini mules, or the Masons always have a float, and they'll have fund drives, and there'll be wherever there are other organizations also soliciting for funds. The Masons set up a charitable drive table, and it all goes into most of it goes to the Shriner hospitals, and the Shriners themselves do a fabulous job of fundraising to support the hospital system. So.
It is simply amazing what you all do. So tell us what you got planned for Foghat in the future here.
Well, we're actually quite busy. We just finished a year of touring. We did 60 plus shows, which was a lot for us. We toured generally March through. Now we have one more show left for the season in Wheeling, West Virginia. I'm busy now with really post-production on several projects. We recorded one of our concerts at the UCF Arena over in Central Florida. For video, I'm responsible for the audio posting. I'll be doing that, mixing on that. We have a live radio broadcast we did for a radio station called the Blues Garage, or Blues Warehouse, excuse me, up in New York, Long Island. We recorded it live. It was, there was no audience, but it was a live broadcast. And we've actually done a deal with Varice Saraband to release that. And my next project is a blues record, which is going to be excerpts from that blues show, plus some additional tracks that we've recorded, blues numbers. So I'll be mixing that project over the course of the winter. And then Christmas, rest, right. Rehearse, and back out on tour next year.
Well, great. Now, if anyone wants to contact you, what's the best way?
Foghat.net.
There you go. So definitely check out Bryan and all that he's done. My goodness. There's so much research I did on you. You are amazing.
Well,
you know what? You need to write a book.
My wife keeps saying that. Maybe I will.
Yes. All right. Well, Bryan, thank you so much for this wonderful interview and answering all of our questions.
Oh, my pleasure.
And be sure to watch more Live and Kicking on Location. I am Lisa Marie Bench, your host, and make it a great night.